Grenade out.
From reckless behavior to moments of denial and regret, here are some of the most intense moments idiotic drivers got humiliated by cops and put in their place. Something you shouldn't do is video yourself in a police chase. This passenger failed to realize this and ended up incriminating themselves on tape.
I know. My fault. My fault, blood. Damn, bro. I'm not laying up, man.
You should never lie to an officer at a traffic stop, and that's for obvious reasons. However, this driver thought everything was going fine until the officer was handed the incorrect item.
Can I see your driver's license?
Yes, you can, sir.
You been drinking any alcohol today?
No.
Nothing.
Collections for them.
What's that? What's this?
That's my bank card.
Why are you giving me a bank card?
Speeding way past the legal limit is forbidden for many safety reasons, and yet that is still ignored. This biker didn't notice the police vehicle next to them and had gotten hit by instant karma.
Go get him. Oh, sh**. Wow.
Noise pollution is one of the most damaging things that can happen to an area. The officers were tired of the constant loud horns of impatient drivers and had set up a system to detect the loud noises.
We connected decibel meters to a few signal poles around the city. If the decibel level went over 85 dB, the signal would reset and stay red for longer. Bajao, bajao!
This lady was constantly trying to push this biker to the side and he was not having it. Luckily for this biker, there was a police vehicle stationed nearby and was ready to sort this driver out. One thing you should do to speed up a traffic stop is to follow instructions and be cooperative, but we know that won't be happening here. There are always those few people trying to post for clicks and views.
To give you that license.
So you're provided to give me
By
a
law?
Yep, so it's the Summary Offences Act, which is 458.
Act, it's not law. You agree I'm a man?
I don't know, I'm not going to assume your gender, sir.
Do you agree I'm a man?
I don't know what you identify
A
as.
living man. I'm alive. So
Yeah,
you
I fully
haven't
agree.
you haven't stipulated to me that law where I have to give you my
It's
license.
the Summary Offences Act. Your mobile phone is there. You're more than welcome to look up the Summary Offences Act. Go for it.
Act is not
Oh,
law.
wait.
Just because the road is clear, that doesn't mean it's an invitation to speed. This idiotic driver had gotten hit by instant karma after speeding past a patrol vehicle. Trying to escape police isn't a good idea in any scenario, but if you're going to attempt it, then at least do it right.
He could also have lost his pants. He's certainly lost his truck.
Look at the fuel tanks on the side of that thing. All he's got to do, there it goes, whoop-de-doo. Is this guy armed who carjacked this poor truck owner? I mean, you just don't know. Does truck owner jump? Indeed, he does. Oh my goodness. 15 cops around him. Sir, it's over. Get out. We have other news. Luckily, we have 24 hours of the news.
This passenger knew something was about to go down and started recording another vehicle that had been speeding down the highway. It's safe to say they were satisfied in the end.
Oh, is that officer gonna get him? Please go get him! Please get that mother.
This furious driver had a problem with person videoing them and had flipped them off multiple times. Now with the timing of cameras and vehicles, I think we know where this is going.
Middle fingers, double birdie, all that. And then all of a sudden, booyah, almost crashes into that car in front of her. Luckily, she did it.
These drivers had come so close to colliding that this had to have been taken seriously. So as one of the drivers tried to flee, a police vehicle had been in the area and arrived swiftly. If you are ever pulled over for something like your brake lights or license plate, then do not imitate anything in this video. This lady had escalated the situation and got herself arrested over some brake lights.
Suspected of committing.
No brake light. We need your license.
According to People vs. Battle, traffic infractions are not crimes.
Just because you don't see a police vehicle, it doesn't mean they aren't there. This driver was hit by instant karma after they tried to cut off another vehicle. That will teach them a lesson. Following basic traffic rules shouldn't be a hard task if you already have your license. This driver was too impatient to wait a few more minutes and decided to skip the other vehicles, causing this funny scene. This police officer had a vehicle speeding towards them on a narrow road and was not going to let that slide. Here is a great example as to why you should never damage property that is not yours. When trying to flee from the cops, it's best not to spin out or crash. Hopefully the officers made that clear to them in the end. This officer was shocked after having to pull over someone so young. Luckily, it wasn't for anything too dangerous.
How old are you?
Me, I'm 18.
Okay.
I mean, I literally have the pregnancy test right here.
I'm shocked. You might be the youngest person, like, born most recently that I've ever pulled over. I've never pulled over someone from 09.
One thing you don't want to do while speeding is record the entire scenario on your dash cam. This is almost a guaranteed ticket to the cell. This driver sure was annoyed over getting a ticket, but acted out too aggressively. This escalated the situation and gave the cops a reason to arrest him.
Got his gun on me now. He's hitting my truck now. He's breaking my window. Get him over here. Help me. Help.
This driver had ran a red light right in front of a police vehicle and no action was taken. Safe to say that the people behind the camera weren't too happy about that.
Wait, seriously, no one saw that?
Did I, like, ask him?
Dude, really? Nobody saw that guy?
This woman was arguing with a cyclist and the situation escalated so far that she had thrown water at him. Luckily, the cyclist was recording the moment and an off-duty police officer was in the area. Better luck next time, Karen.
You're telling the police what it is? Man, be quiet. I've been a policeman for 24 years. Would you like to arrest you? Put on your arrest report?
Actually,
Want to arrest
this man.
I would like her arrested, yes.
I would like to press charges.
Speeding in a residential area is a serious safety concern. Luckily, a police officer was behind the red vehicle and was able to deal with situations swiftly.
Making a tough decision right now. Tough decision.
I made the right decision.
3 police officers had tried to stop a vehicle, but the driver was not being late for work that day. When you set up a speed camera, the one thing you don't expect to find is another officer going over the speed limit.
Right there at the school. I'm on the sidewalk, dude. You're busted, man.
This armored truck needed a quick reminder that they do not own the roads. Luckily, a nearby police officer was able to keep them in check. Pulling off a wheelie is impressive, don't get me wrong, but doing it on a public road is a huge hazard for yourself and other drivers.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
You don't kill someone else as well as yourself, you know.
Sorry.
Myself, I know how fast they are. They don't try and give me any old planet.
All right. Thank you, sir. It won't happen again.
You should never drive onto the shoulders or off-road just to skip a few seconds on the road. This driver failed to recognize the officer nearby and just sent it.
Yeah!
This officer was shocked after finding out who he had pulled over, as they were speeding in a 35-mile-per-hour zone.
Dodge Charger, a souped-up Dodge Charger belongs to the sheriff's office. I just clocked this son at 96 in a 35.
Really? Sir, here's your ID back. This is your copy of the citation. If you would sign right here. It's got a court date, time it must appear.
That had to be really embarrassing. This driver was spotted swerving and cutting off other drivers, and the officers had enough. They initiated a traffic stop after the driver had cut off another vehicle. This driver had gotten into a police chase and made it look like something straight out of GTA.
Grenade out.
If you're going to run a red light, at least don't do it right in front of a patrol car. This driver had gotten one too many tickets and finally had enough, handing over their keys as if they're going to stop driving.
I can't drive. You can drive.
When you are being spoken to by an officer, it is wise to not flee. This driver clearly didn't know that and had ended up being swarmed by all the patrol units in the area. This driver was spotted carrying far more than their vehicle can handle, and I'm surprised it even held up. Driving at high speeds on an icy road is just calling for disaster, and disaster had arrived. This driver was burning their tires for the crowd right as a bunch of officers appeared from the smoke. This truck driver had started moving as the light was still red, and this would have been fine if there wasn't an officer right behind them. This police van had prevented this driver from making an illegal turn. They must have felt pretty stupid. Speeding right in front of a police officer should not be on your bucket list, otherwise you'll just end up like this driver. This horrible driver gets humiliated as a police officer was waiting for them after they tried to ram another vehicle off of the road. Now who ended up getting the last laugh? This intoxicated driver had just delivered themselves right into the police's arms.
What happened?
Trying to drive off-road to evade police will never end how you're expecting, and this driver was unable to realize that. As cool as this trick was, they had really messed up. An officer was waiting right behind them as they pulled that wheelie. This truck driver was too careless and almost crashed into a smaller vehicle. This is a major safety concern which grabbed the attention of the police car nearby. Maybe that will teach them not to drive so recklessly. This idiotic driver decided to speed in a residential area and didn't even check to see if any officers were in the area.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Something tells me that these two drivers do not belong there on the road. Driving on the sides of the roads is not allowed and can actually cause a serious hazard on the road. Luckily, this dumb driver wasn't able to get away from the consequences. All this driver had to do was wait a tiny bit longer and they would have avoided all interaction with the officers. But that is just too much to ask for nowadays. Don't let your money get to your head like this driver. Just because you own a fancy car, it doesn't mean you're above the law.
Get over here!
These two speeding vehicles had gotten hit by instant karma after speeding down a residential road. Saving a few seconds on the road really is not worth the trouble you would get into. Don't end up like this idiotic driver. This truck had been spotted swerving and cutting off multiple vehicles, and the officers had finally seen enough. This has got to be embarrassing. This driver was pulling off stunts mid-pursuit just for some style points. The way they were caught has got to be embarrassing. Brake checking is for sure some of the worst things a driver can do, but doing it to an officer is just wild. That driver needs to have their license revoked. The biker was not entertained by the way this driver had emerged from the car park and questioned them. Luckily for the biker, an officer had just appeared in the area and was ready to deal with them.
See you, chump.
This driver had a little road rage cooking up but ended up cowering in the last moments after police had appeared. This officer wasn't too happy with the way people were cutting each other off and decided to finally do something about it. There is no way they really thought they were going to get away with that. This driver makes a questionable U-turn and almost hits this undercover cop car. Karma has just been served. This officer knew something wasn't right with this driver as they were constantly cutting people off and racing to their destination. They were stopped and ended up taking more time than they anticipated. This stupid driver had almost ran over multiple civilians and became a serious threat. The officer seeing this knew something had to be done and performed a pit maneuver, causing the truck to spin out. This driver tried passing vehicles by going onto the wrong side of the road. Little did they know an officer was waiting right around the corner and dealt with them immediately. Speeding on icy roads is bad enough, but swerving on the road is asking for too much. Luckily, this officer was ready for a situation like this. The pure joy in this guy's voice is hilarious.
Oh, yeah, baby, go get him!
This driver really tried to sneak past the officer like nothing illegal was happening. This must have been really embarrassing for the driver. These guys had gotten into an argument about the road signs, and the biker was not going to have any of it. Spotting a police vehicle nearby, they approached them and reported the incident. Karma at its finest. One thing you do not want to do while speeding or doing anything illegal is to upload it online. This driver clearly did not care to think about the consequences. After a regular traffic stop, this guy decided to make a run for it for absolutely no reason. This then alerted the cop and then got the passenger into trouble for a completely unrelated reason.
No warrant, Robert! Drop it. But that's meth, I know. That's stupid, dude.
This driver was moments away from causing some serious damage, but managed to avoid colliding with them just in time. Brake checking multiple vehicles had ended up getting this driver into a lot of trouble. Who doesn't love when idiotic drivers get hit by instant karma? Take this as some future advice. Never, and I mean never, try to reverse through an intersection. Not only did this make the driver look incredibly stupid, but also caused a situation that could have easily been avoided. This driver was caught in the act after brake checking a larger vehicle. That had to be really embarrassing. This truck driver was spotted driving recklessly, and before the person behind the camera could even process it, a police officer was already after them.
Why are you running?
Something was clearly wrong with this driver as they were swerving all over the place, and this officer finally had enough. This driver was spotted taking the weirdest route and was instantly stopped by a nearby officer. Don't be like this idiotic driver and just follow the roads. When you come across a barrier, do not copy what this guy does. This is a one-way ticket to some serious talks with an officer. Luckily, this guy was spotted before they could flee. This driver must have had the worst day imaginable to get into a situation like this. Being caught speeding right as you were leaving the area has to be so infuriating. Just because you're lower down than the regular world, it doesn't mean the laws have changed. This driver was caught burning rubber and was dealt with almost immediately. We all hate those insurance frauds, but I can for sure say we love seeing them getting exposed in the act. What's a better way than being exposed by the law themselves? There is no need to rush into a roundabout like this driver did. This officer was lucky to be right there as it happened, so they could be dealt with accordingly. These civilians were hired by the local PD to test out the zebra crossings to see if vehicles would actually stop for them. Fortunately, there was a little surprise for the vehicles who decided to speed up.
Why are you running?
When passing through an intersection, it is important you take in your surroundings. This driver showed no interest in doing so, as they clearly weren't able to see the officer right next to them. This gasoline fight was interrupted swiftly, as this was not something you should be toying around with so recklessly. Something wasn't switching on inside this driver's mind, and it shows as they decided to keep going through the crossing even with vehicles blocking the passage. These drivers failed to stop for the school buses, and the officers in the area were not taking it lightly. Someone wasn't too happy about people recording and was demanding them to stop. That was until police showed up and reminded them that they are indeed allowed to record.
Record all you want, okay?
Thank you so much.
One of the drivers thought it would be a great idea to pass through the traffic by driving onto the grass. We can all see how well that went for them. This driver tried showing off for the camera and ended up drifting right into law enforcement. This driver was spotted on their phone and was instantly confronted about it. Even if you're waiting for the lights to go green, you should not be on your phone.